Excuse me. All right. I am playing the Frozen theme song because that's how I feel right now. I'm just kidding. Oh gosh. Now how do I get rid of it? Oh well. Anyway, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I was out of town. I just got back in from Florida, and inside the house it was 52 degrees. I don't know what it is outside, but it hasn't quite warmed up yet. So that's all right. Oh, well, I'll tell you what though, let me put on David for just a moment. I'm gonna go get a warmer hat to put on real quick. And you know what? Oh, there we go. We'll do I know we talk about Eon a lot, but I'm going to let it play on that for a minute because I got to tell you guys a little bit about Eon. It's only a 4 minute video.
I hang out with old scientists, and so I'm pretty boring socially. So, but I met a scientist there that I had wanted to meet for quite some time. He's very well known. He had been doing research into natural types of cancer therapy and actually molecules that the body produces in an attempt to fight and suppress cancer cells. And he
John,
is
can you
also
guys
very,
hear
very
that?
interested in longevity.
I hear him fine, yes. Good.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab a hat real
And he
quick. I'll be
wanted
right
to
back.
know, and this is really the way science works, is we ask questions about the natural environment. And he was seeing that the queen bee was living 50 to 60 times longer than the worker bee. So the question is, why is that? Genetically, they're nearly identical. So what's the difference? And he found out it was the food, and that the queen bee is the one that's consuming the royal jelly, and in the royal jelly there is a specific peptide that regulates inflammation and allows the queen bee to live so much longer. So he isolated this peptide, he injected it into a worker bee, and just one injection of this peptide allowed the worker bee to live 5 to 6 times longer than normal. So now he said, okay, well, can we apply this to human beings? And remarkably, he found the same chemical exists in human beings. So he said, well, why don't human beings, live, a couple hundred years? And interestingly, the reason is because this peptide is produced in the liver and it begins to decline at about age 30. So we lose the advantage of this. So I began to look at finding, well, if this is already a peptide that exists in the human body, maybe we could find a way to turn it back on. And that's what the Eon patch became. So the Eon patch elevates this peptide. And what we found, we did about 9 clinical studies on it. And what we found in our testing is that it is a broad spectrum anti-inflammatory. It will reduce inflammatory cytokines, C-reactive proteins, homocysteine, lipid peroxides, fibrinogen. So that was it. That's one of its main benefits. We did another clinical study with Dr. Tom Budzinski, and Dr. Budzinski and his wife, Helen Budzinski, another PhD. They found out that within seconds of applying the Eon patch to the body, that it would bring the autonomic nervous system into balance. And this is why when people wear the Eon patch, first it reduces the stress on the nervous system, and then it begins to elevate antioxidants and reduce inflammation. So Eon patch, for many years, not surprisingly, was a top-selling product, and I love it because it not only do people get the daily benefits of the product, but there are some very, very serious longevity benefits to using Eon as well.
Oh, it's already stopped.
Stopped about 2, 3 minutes ago.
Okay. All right, guys. I don't know that we have very many people tonight. That's all right. Uh, John, are you having a winter storm there where you're at?
Yeah, I can't get to my studio. It's about 75 feet away with an inch of ice on the ground.
Gee. Yeah, we're starting to get it here now. And I don't know what the temperature will be tonight. I think it's down in the teens, which isn't too bad. But it's the wind and stuff. And of course, when I leave home, I shut everything down with the exception of just one heater, and that's it. Um, and it is blowing outside. My gosh, is it ever? Yes, 26 degrees right now. That's only going to go down to 24. That isn't bad. So, but I guess later this week, probably next day or so, it'll be much worse. So, oh yes, we're going down to 15. Anyway, oh, we got somebody coming in. Look at there, Heather's here. Get Heather in here. Anyway, what I was going to say to you guys, I don't know. I know we've talked about so many different patches over time, but Eon is an amazing patch. Um, as I mentioned to you guys before, one of the things that I found out about Eon is that in order for your stem cells to work properly, if you've got inflammation in the body, then it just doesn't want to work right. But if you can control the inflammation, then the stem cells can actually begin to repair the damaged areas that you have. But I've also discovered a new thing about Eon, and I really discovered it more so when I was down in Florida this last time because I went down there for a real quick trip. I had to meet some guys that were looking at buying one of the mines that I have down there. And so while I was down there, I was quickly moving around things and I ended up grabbing a couple of big batteries that go on these tractors. And when we're talking about batteries, this ain't like a car battery. It's like 3 times the weight of a car battery. So they're extremely heavy. And of course, you feel all the pain between the shoulder blades and stuff. And so between the shoulder blades, the lower back was doing really well, but once I picked up that a couple of times, I really was in a world of pain from it. So what I did is I took and I told my daughter, I asked her, I said, look, can you take and I had her I lifted up my shirt and I said, just take your finger and I'll tell you when to stop. And she found one spot. I said, put an E on there. I said, go down a little bit further. I said, put one right there. I said, now I'll take care of the lower one myself. And so I put one on the lower back. Within 10 minutes after putting those on, hang on one second, guys. Don't shut the door, dummy. Within 10 minutes, I had absolutely no pain whatsoever in my back. Um, and then I was sitting there and I was taking off. When I first got in, I've got really heavy chains that I use to lock the gates with, put the locks on. And I have it wrapped around several times on the gate. And when I unlocked it, I started on pulling that chain loose. I dropped that big old chain on my hand and on my thumb, and I really didn't think much about it. I'm like, it hurt like crap, but I'm like, oh well, as my old boss used to say, you'll grow back. As long as you don't hurt the chain, you'll grow back. And but the next morning I get up and you talking about hurt. My gosh, that thing hurts a dadgum bad. And then it hurt all day long. By the time the evening got around, I was still in a lot of pain. And so then I took and I said, well, I'd put some cream on. That didn't help. So finally, I just took an Eon patch and I wrapped it around the thumb. And when I wrapped it around the thumb, I would say at least 50% of the pain, if not more, went away just from wrapping around the thumb. So, I mean, I look like a Eon, I probably look like an Eon sign, as many as those I had on. But so I had three on my back, one on my thumb, and then my gallbladder started acting up, so I put two on my gallbladder. So I was wearing a total of what was that? Well, six patches of Eon, and luckily I had a brand new pack with me. But I tell you though, it actually helped on every single spot. I don't know if you guys ever dealt with that or not, but that was my success with Eon. And David Schmidt had talked about it before. He said that Eon was really one of the first really big game changers in patches when they first started this as a business was the Eon patch. He said they did really well with it in the business sales. And let's see, the camera's all crooked. Guess it didn't matter earlier, but so, and he said that a lot of people did really well because he said when they would have a patch party, what they would do is when people came in, they would ask them, do you have any pains or anything? And this is before X39 came out. And somebody would say, oh, yes, I got it here, I got it there. And they said they'd put the Eon patch on. And normally we're just within minutes, they'd ask them again, how do you feel now? And a lot of people would have at least 50% of that pain reduced already. And so I actually got to see that firsthand that it really does work like that. And and then I noticed also too, because when my lower back, if it gets really inflamed, it'll swell and it'll swell really big. But you can put an Eon patch down there and that swelling will literally go right down. And so it's really an amazing, amazing patch to be able to use. And I can't recommend it enough. And from what David did on one of his lectures on this, I really realized that Eon is almost a necessity to have when you're dealing with the pains and not just the pains, but in order to get the inflammation down so your X39, the stem cell activation patch, can actually repair those damaged tissues because um, when he was doing the lecture on it, he actually went into several studies that they have shown on that because of the different stem cell therapies that are out there, not counting X39, just other stem cell therapies. And the one thing they had noticed is that if they did not control inflammation, the stem cells would have a very difficult time repairing damaged tissue in the body. And so he had shared that the results of those studies so people could see it. And then I realized that's why I'd had success with my lower back was I got to where I would wear those Eon patches to control the inflammation, but I had no idea that it helped the stem cells also to be more active as a result of that. So, anybody got any questions on that before we move on? everybody drinking their hot chocolate right now and all that kind of good stuff. So, um,
So, Stephen, it just seems like Eon um, is similar to Ice Wave, but maybe better because it might address few more issues other than specific pain.
I kind of think that as well. I mean, other than that, you need Oreo cookies, but that's a different issue. We won't go into that. So, that makes you feel better about the pain. Cat, go away, go away.
Okay.
So, but what I will say though is that I have had it before to where I had when I was first dealing with all the issues in my lower back before it really started getting better for several months, I would wear the pain patch, the Eon patch, but I didn't, at the time, I didn't put X39 down on my lower back. Eventually, I ended up moving it to my lower back over the same area. And then little by little, I stopped using the pain patch and only used the Eon patch. So I do think that you're right on that, Denise, that if you, Eon, because of that lowering the inflammation, when you get the inflammation down, the pain's going to leave. I mean, that's really what's causing pain for the most part is inflammation. All right. So besides that, the other thing too that I want to mention to you guys, and that's X49. Um, I had I have also discovered when it comes to the X49 patch, if you're dealing with any type of vascular type of issues or heart issues and stuff, I know that a lot of people have said that X39 is works for that as well. But the case studies really have shown that the X49 is what is vital or actually works very well in rebuilding the cardiovascular system. So I went back and incorporated the X49 um, into my own regimen on doing this, mainly because as I started jogging again, which by the way, those of you that don't know that, I've not been able to run for about 15 years. And I had a really odd dream not too long ago. And in that dream, I saw that I could run. And I ran as if I was 19 years old. And it really encouraged me. And so the next day, when I was up, I thought about it all day long. That night, me and my daughter took the dog for a walk. And when we did, I thought, you know what? I want to see if I can really run. And sure enough, I saw that I could run. So I actually started jogging as well, not long after that. And as a result of that, I thought, well, I probably really need to work on that cardiovascular system a little bit better. So I did re-engage the X49. And I figured I would run that for a few months just to kind of help, because besides building the cardiovascular system, it also builds the muscle up as well. I don't think it's something that you have to do long term, but I think it's good to do just to kind of get things going again. So that's something that I wanted to do. I did reach out to Jason Miller today because one of the things that I was curious about, and I'm sure you guys may be as well, and that is, what is the situation on the, and I'm going to pull it up on, maybe not on the screen, but just so I want to pull it up so I can see it there. Uh, do they have a product release date yet for the different vitamins that they're doing, that vitamin package that Lifewave is putting out? Um, I don't anticipate yet for before the water machine yet, because I know that'll take a little bit of time. But the cellar G's, the evening and the morning one, um, and they say, of course, it says 2025. We were actually hoping that this was going to come out back in October of last year, but it did not. And of course, at the annual conference, that's when they said it would be coming out in 2025. And I pulled it up on the screen here just to see if there's any release date. I don't see anything on there. But does anybody else know anything about that? Denise, yourself, or anybody else that might know, have heard anything from anybody of when that might be coming out? Um, I will tell you though, just so you guys are aware of this on there, the product that he made here, it's got a lot of different vitamins, many things that you guys are probably already taking anyway, like potassium, magnesium, vitamin C, citrulline. Citrulline I've never heard of myself. It's got fiber, zinc, selenium, creatine, beta alanine. And beta alanine was one of the important things that we don't see very often. It's got copper, lysine in it as well, NAC, glycine. But the other one that was really, really important, I watched a video where David talked about this product, was a sea buckthorn fruit extract. Um, and when he, besides that one there, and I forget what he said about that, but he also talked a lot about magnesium and potassium, but more specifically, he talked a lot about magnesium. And David said in his presentation about this that he was designing for everyone is that people do not get enough magnesium in their daily diet as they should. And he said you probably, even if you do take it, which I do take it myself, he said, you may not realize that you need a lot more than what you think you do. And that was kind of surprising to me. I use an ionized magnesium myself because I know it's good for your heart, it's good for blood pressure, things like that. And so Yana's always had me take that over the years. But when I heard David talking about this, I really began to increase it because of what he said about it. But there was something though about that sea buckthorn fruit extract that he brought out that I'd never heard of this to begin with, and this particular product is supposed to give the ability for those people that are in the 4 to 5% bracket that the X39 was not working for. Taking this particular product is what's supposed to make it to where they have 100% of everyone is affected, or will actually their stem cells will actually produce from that. Um, and so I'm actually looking forward to it. At first, I thought it was only going to be a just once a day type of product, but there's actually there is a morning and an evening one that he designed, and I don't really know the difference between the two. I know when you click on it there, you can see the morning one there. You don't actually see the evening one in the profile when you first click on it, but it might be when you log into your back office and hit shop, you might have it over there. Um, and also out of curiosity, has anybody actually tried doing um, a patch party type thing? Has anybody tried that that's on tonight? Is what I'm curious about is to see if you did, um, what type of results were you getting, and have you found it to be beneficial? Um, I am persuaded though that if you do any patch parties, I really strongly recommend that you use Eon. That if you're going, I don't think it's a great idea personally to use X39 in a patch party for the simple reason is you could put X39 on someone when they come in, but they may or they may not have any response. It's you got maybe 50% of the people that get pretty quick results with it. But the Eon, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to get a result if they're dealing with any kind of pain issue that's caused from inflammation. Um, and in fact, right now, I've got that irritation between my shoulder blades again from driving all day, but I don't have a patch on at the moment. But I can guarantee you one thing. As soon as we get done here, I will definitely have an Eon patch on there so that I don't have to deal with that pain right there. But that and another thing too, I just want to remind you guys as well, if you're having if you want to host a patch party, um, and if we live anywhere near you, we'll gladly come there. Or if you want to host one and we can come by Zoom, we will. Um, Yana also asked me to share with you guys that she will be here next week. She actually found an amazing study that she's been working on. She's going to do a PowerPoint presentation next week on photobiomodulation therapy, which is exactly what the X39 patch uses in order to stimulate the stem cells. And she said that she really feels like it's going to really help a lot of people to better understand exactly what the product is that we have and how it can really help people. Because when you can better understand your product naturally, I mean, besides the fact that many of you guys that are here on this call tonight anyway, you've already been here doing it for a year, so we already know ourselves pretty much. I mean, Karen and Dwayne probably about 6 months, I guess, but Denise and John and I think Elke as well. All of us have used it long enough now that we know that it does work. Um, and so I can't. Uh, one thing I think is really important that we keep in mind is that when you're sharing it with anybody too, even though David says, give it a month for every decade of your life, we've really learned from experience now when people start this, really and truly, you need a year. Um, not I mean, it's not to say that people won't get great results early on. Uh, Ron would probably be here tonight, but just so you guys know, his mother passed away here uh,
Mm.
about a week ago, and so he's really going through a hard time. So just keep him in your prayers.
Mhm.
Um, It's as anybody knows, it's not easy when your mom passes, regardless of their age. That's just not an
Mhm.
easy thing.
Mhm.
Uh, but
Mhm.
he himself has had just extraordinary testimonies when it comes to X39, which of course he doesn't just use X39, he uses X39, X49, he wears them together. He wears Eon. I mean, he uses all kinds of patches. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that. And
Mhm.
Ron he's the one that we actually have. He has documented evidence that his
Mhm.
thyroid, even though it was removed from lymphoma cancer, they left a little small piece, he said, on the left side when they removed it. And when his thyroid started working again, his doctor suggested, well, maybe we should do a scan to see what's going on there. He said, because that is kind of odd that it actually works. They'd done the blood test, so they knew from the blood test it was working, but the doctor just couldn't understand how could a little tiny piece of thyroid actually work. And when they did the ultrasound, Ron said that the ultrasound tech wouldn't tell him anything, but he said the doctor, when he got the results, he called Ron up and he said, Ron, he says, believe it or not, the left side of your thyroid grew all the way back. And not to mention all the different people that we've had, from our group, our own personal group here. I think three others have had their thyroid start functioning again that were on thyroid medication, not that they had it removed, but just, started functioning again. And then, of course, he had the congestive heart failure. He had stage 4 kidney failure that went down to a 1. He said it's probably 0 now. He said he just never went back after it went down to 1.
Mm.
Um, and then something with his eyes. I forget what it was on his eyes. And then he had one other thing he told me about. I forget what it was. And, it's like the guy's like a walking miracle just from using this patch.
Mm.
And then people that have heard you guys' testimonies, like um, we've got the guy that John knows, that's the race car driver. He heard about Sister Denise and, her results from the dentist that she had gotten. And so he started for that purpose and ended up not only and he did, his gums actually healed as well, but he also got the benefit of no pain in his knee after I think 15 years. Having trouble from being racing cars all this time. And so it's just one thing after another. And
Brother Stephen, excuse
yes,
me. Do you know anybody in our circles who has improvement with glaucoma?
I don't know if that's what Ron had or not. I don't think so, but I don't remember. What explain to me what glaucoma actually is? Because I know Randy had some kind of an issue. Do you remember what Catherine's husband had on his eye?
Was that cataracts?
No,
No.
macular degeneration, I think is what he
Oh,
had.
okay. Oh.
Because they said his eye doctor said it looked like a potato chip. It was
Hmm.
so brittly, and now it's like he said, like a young person's.
Hmm.
Uh, but I don't know if we have anybody with glaucoma.
Okay.
So,
All right.
but I guess if we wait long enough, we'll probably find out,
Right. I was at the doctor a couple of weeks ago and he said it's kind of progressing.
right?
So they want to do laser treatment at the end of this month. But I'm trying to research the acupressure point on the body for glaucoma. It's a lot of information out there. So I may not keep my appointment. I'll put it that
That
way.
that and which patch would work
Right. I'm not
best
sure. Yeah.
right with that. If I'm not mistaken on that there, Denise, is that let me think of which one my wife talks about for the eyes. Besides X39, I want to say
That carnosine?
yes, what I was going to say was carnosine.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about carnosine, but that seems to really help as well.
Mhm.
So you might want to try that and just see. Um, and of course, the one person is, of course, it's cataracts for Kathleen, but you never know that she may have had other issues as well
Mhm.
because she's had so many surgeries on her eyes.
Mhm.
I think she said 13 surgeries on one eye. That's like crazy.
Mhm.
So,
I'm
uh,
thankful for my new gums, but now pray for my eyes.
that's right. Amen. Isn't that the truth? So, Karen or Dwayne, which one is here tonight, or are you both here?
We're both here.
Yep, we're here.
How have you guys had any results now? I know y'all have been what, about 6 months now into this, 7 months?
I started in March and Dwayne started in April.
May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what have you guys noticed in this time so far?
Um, well, I did notice that my facial hair grows about twice as fast, and so do my fingernails. But and my A1C went down by zero point 0.9 of a point.
Yes.
And one other thing I noticed was my acid reflux seems to be better.
Yeah, it took time for my stomach as well. I want to say at least 8 months before I really began to notice a difference. But about 8 months in, and they said all of my stomach lining was completely gone.
Oh,
And
wow.
and so now I've been able to eat a lot of things that I could not eat at all before. But I would say about 8 months before I started really noticing that difference. And like yourself as well, Dwayne, the fingernails, I had that one that was really mangled up on my thumb. It totally went back to normal. And then the split pinky finger that's been split all the way up since I
Ooh.
was a teenager. It's never been normal. And then I wasn't even paying attention because I never thought about fingernails or anything, right? I'm just always used to it. I mean, no matter how much you trim it back, it still stays split, never grows back right. And then sure enough, the pinky finger totally healed, no
Oh,
cracks or nothing anymore. The thumbnail went normal. And I didn't think it would ever go normal, so because no matter how much it would grow out, it still looked like the letter V. It just stood straight up in the middle. And
wow.
it's kind of embarrassing. So I always kind of covered my hand up if I'm out in public because you just think, gosh, I hate to look at it myself. And I'm sure nobody else really cared, but it's just more of a personal thing. You just think like that. But the next thing I know, one day I started noticing, I'm like, oh my gosh, the thing, how did it go flat? I mean, it just like went flat, and I didn't even
Huh.
realize it. And and then sure enough, it went completely out, went back normal. And like you said, is that everything grows faster, better. Uh, Now my wife did tell me, just so you guys are aware, because um, women that are losing hair, their hair will grow back. But men, typically, if they lose hair due to baldness or whatever, theirs will not grow back. And Yana was explaining to me one day, she said the reason that is, and I forget the exact reason, but I'll just say it in layman's terms. She said women lose hair for a completely different reason than what men lose hair. She says women, I think what it is with women, there's this hormone that causes it, the hormone change in the body or stress or something like that that will cause them to lose their hair, especially when they're going through menopause and stuff. And she said, and men they don't lose it because of that. It's for a different reason that they lose it. She said, so therefore, whether you're using X39 or SP6 that helps balance the hormones. She said normally the SP6 will balance the hormones, and then the X39 causes women to grow their hair back. And
Huh.
we have Rosa, Sister Rosa. She's a widow and she's elderly, and so she can't. I think she's 77 years old. She doesn't have the money to buy patches, so we've always just got them for her. And and she's been on here with us before just to tell the testimony. And she had most all of her front hair was gone. And
Huh.
she's got a full head of hair now. Uh,
Wow.
it all grew back in. And Yana was losing a lot of hair. I mean, it was so bad at one point she thought she was going to have to wear a wig because you could really see the thinning, kind of like mine is now. I mean, my daughter even tells me, Daddy, what's happening? Your hair is getting so thin. I said, oh, honey, you're just seeing things. I have to say that to her because she thinks, oh, you're getting old. How long you going to be here? You ain't going to leave me, are you? But but yeah, but with even with Yana, she started growing it in. And I remember she would lose like every time she'd take a shower, she almost didn't want to take a shower. She'd have literally a handful of hair in her hands. And she always had really thick hair. Um, and uh, and this went on for a couple of years to where it was getting so thin you could see her scalp. And
Wow.
and then when we started the X39, things started turning around. And then one day she shows me a little tiny, about that long of hair everywhere. All you could see it, especially across her front right here, you could see it just everywhere, little small hairs growing in. And
Huh.
over time, I guess, of course, been on a year, it took about a year, but a lot of those now have grown out much longer now. So now her hair has gotten much thicker all over again. So, and myself, I know John mentioned this as well, but I had the same issue John had, and that was going to the bathroom. My gosh. And John mentioned every 2 hours, and that's about exactly what I was going through
Mm-hmm.
when we first started. About every 2 hours at night, I'd get up and Yana would say, "Oh my God, Steve, you got a prostate issue. You need to go get checked." I said, "I don't need nobody to stick their finger in my backside to tell me I got something wrong with the prostate." I said, "If I'm going to the bathroom, I know there's something ain't quite right." So, you know, and and if you turn the water faucet on, boy, I had to run to the bathroom right then. It just really become a problem.
Huh.
Uh, and over time, the next thing I know, slowly but surely, you know, I go, I can go only once a night now. And sometimes I can even not even go the once. But typically, the only reason I do go is because the dog, for some reason, she needs to wake me up at 4 a.m. And I get up early anyway, but I don't want to get up at 4 a.m. But she wakes me up at 4 a.m. right there next to the bed going, "Rrr." I'm like, that stupid dog, you got your own dog door. Why do you got to have me to go walk you to the door? But that's what it is. Doesn't matter if I'm in Florida, I got a dog door in Florida, dog door here. She's still, you got to walk her to the door. I guess she's a girl dog. Maybe she's scared. So, anyway.
I've noticed that as well, though. I used to go to the bathroom a couple times a night. Now I'm only down to one. So I'm grateful as can be with that.
Yeah, because you need the sleep, and that's really
Yeah.
important is just to sleep. And
Yeah.
even our 16-year-old, she's, it's funny because, really 16-year-old, they got their own stem cells and stuff. That girl knows every patch that she needs. And like, she'll tell me, I need an Eon. And she does have a lot of inflammation in her neck, but when she was about 2 years old, she fell down 18 steps. Uh,
Oh.
we had taller than a normal. 16 is what you have, I think, normally, but we had either 18 or 19, something like, because we had it was really high apartment we lived in when she was little, and she fell from the top all the way down. And so I've always thought that she probably has issues from that as a child, because she's always got issues with her neck. Um, uh, oh, Yana's trying to get Uh, okay, no, that's something else. Sorry, I thought she was trying to get into here. So, but anyway, so the thing is there's just so many different things that they have, and I always keep a little bit of everything on hand. I know Yana likes that Alavita patch. She wears that thing faithfully every night. And Alavita, by the way, I need to probably listen to some lectures on it, maybe talk about it next week as well. But the one good thing about Alavita stimulates the pineal gland. And when I say it stimulates the pineal gland, it's not talking about like opening the third eye type thing. But what it does, the pineal gland regulates all the glands in your body. And
Mm.
so when they say it stimulates it, what I'm curious about is, does that mean it detoxes the glands in your body? Because, that is an important issue. Which that's something I wanted to mention to you guys. I've been meaning to mention it for a long time, and I always forget to tell you about it. Is that is your body is detoxing. One thing you got to think about, especially when you've been 6 months or longer doing the patches there, is if you've got a lot of toxins built up in your body, you could actually begin to find that the different glands in your body need to be detoxed themselves, like a lymphatic drainage. And there are things on the market. Let me just pull one up so I can show it to you. I ran into this. That was something that I ran into. So let me pull it up here real quick. I know not everybody uses Amazon, but at least I can show you a picture if I go to Amazon with it because I don't know where else to get it at. Go. All right, let me share that with you. It's really a good idea. And if you decide to do this, I use the liquid drop. So I'm going to share the screen. Will you give me 1 second? Go. Go. All right. And can you guys see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. There's different companies that make it. That one's pretty good, Dr. BO, whatever. I've used that one as well. I would just recommend at least get 2 bottles, do 2 months on that. Uh, and just let your body just, because it'll clean out all of your lymphs. And one of the reasons why I did it as well is um, at one point they sent me in to check to see if I had a blocked artery to the heart because I was having signs of that. But what it was there's a lymph node that's near that major artery by the heart, and it was putting pressure on that artery because it was so backed up with toxins. And so I
Hmm.
ended up having to do a lymphatic drainage in order to get the pressure off of that. But, and basically the lymph system, what it's doing, which you guys probably know this anyway. I honestly, I didn't even know this until my wife explained it to me. Throughout the entire body, as you're detoxing, the lymph system in your body basically is cleansing the blood of all those toxins besides the liver and stuff. They also cleanse that stuff. That's another reason, a good reason for using glutathione, by the way. Whether you use a glutathione patch or another thing, if you've got a clinic near you, that an IV clinic that will do it, in Europe, they do a glutathione push. Normally here, they won't do it as a push, they do it as an IV. But in Europe, they'll literally take and they put the needle in the vein and they do a push of glutathione, and it just really detoxes all those different things. It'll detox the liver, it'll detox the
Hmm.
lymphatic system as well. So
Hmm.
that's another good way of doing that too. But but the cheapest way is just getting this right here if you don't have it that much bad of an issue. And just for like I said, just for the mere fact that, we're going through all these toxins coming out of the body from whether you're using X39, X39, X49, both cause detox effects, and as well as carnosine. Carnosine is really pulling aluminum from the body. That's the main thing the carnosine does, is pull the aluminum out of the body. So that might
Mm.
be something you guys want to think about. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, there's little things like that that we don't really consider all the time. Um, but that's definitely one of them you definitely want to think about there.
That's why it helps with the Alzheimer's with the aluminum,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in fact, my aunt that really got a lot of help from it, I need to send that back to her as well as the carnosine, just to give her an extra boost and everything. The X39 helps, but the carnosine, the case studies that David did actually proved that the carnosine, they had tremendous improvement with people that had any type of the Alzheimer type or dementia related cases
Oh,
because of the detoxing of the heavy aluminum from the brain, which that's theoretically, that's what they believe is causing it. Um, Kind of makes sense to me because I always kind of looked at it like this. You're probably You know, it's kind of like a computer. If you start taking a computer and running around with a screwdriver trying to work on those little old electrodes in there, and that screwdriver touches the wrong thing, you're going to short the whole thing out. Well, that's what's happening in our brain, you know. I remember when I was younger, I'd go to like Shoney's or something, and I'd be watching these older ladies in the line getting different thing, and when I'd see them go to get the bacon, I said, "Oh." I said, you might want to get a lot of that bacon. And they'd look at me and they said, why would you say that? I said, it's good for arthritis. And them little old ladies would say, what do you mean it's good for arthritis? I said, it greases your joints. I said, how else you going to get any grease in them joints unless you eat something with a lot of grease? Oh, I probably give them bad advice, but oh goodness. Anyway. All right, guys. Anybody got any questions?
Oh, so are you saying the X49 is better for the heart than X39?
Yeah, Dwayne was interested in that because he's got a defibrillator and pacemaker.
Oh. Yeah, you can't, I'm just kidding. Um, the Ron, I know that the question came up one time here recently, and I think you guys were with us when they asked that question, but it was about stents. And I know that somebody else had an issue about the pacemaker, but they said no, it does not affect this pacemaker whatsoever. And Ron Gunter, he's had, I think, 7 stents, and he said no. He said because there was something about a corrosive issue or something like that that was brought up, and Ron said no, it won't affect it at all. But what was the other thing, Dwayne, that you got?
Oh, my heart earlier had a electrical problem, and so they gave me a pacemaker that actually has a what do you call it? A
Defibrillator.
defibrillator built in.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
Yeah.
For a rapid heartbeat. I think when the ambulance picked him up a year ago or so, it was 239 beats
A minute.
minute. And
Tachycardia. I had that when I was young. I had a heart attack at 21 years old, and mine was
Wow.
running at 300 beats a minute. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
you can go. I mean, when you're running, your heart's going to beat that fast anyway. But when they put actually, I had a good friend of mine. His name was Roger Sampson, and I was working for the sheriff's department at the time, and I came in and I seen him. He worked we had a county hospital at the time back in the early 80s. And I told him, I said, Roger, I said, something's wrong with my heart. And he looked at me and he said, Steve, you're 21 years old. There ain't nothing wrong with your heart. I said, well, I felt like I was about to swallow it the other day. And so he says, well, I tell you what, I'll order you a Holter monitor just to make you feel better. I said, okay, that's fine. And I mean, I didn't think about it. Just I knew something really bad had happened.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, the middle of the night after they took it off and did the results on it, they called me. He calls me in the middle of the night. He said, you're going to a heart specialist immediately. He said, you got scar tissue in your left ventricle. And I said, from what? He said, your heart in the middle of the night is beating at 300 beats a minute when you're
Wow.
sleeping. And he said, that's what he said. You had it wasn't major, just a mild one. He said, but you did have a mild heart attack. And he
Wow.
put me on Lanoxin back in those days. And that's when I just said, there's no way. I said to Jesus, I said, either you're a healer or you're not. I said, either you're going to heal me or I'm going to die. I said, because I ain't going to take that medicine no more. But But that's weird. They can do a defibrillator and a pacemaker now.
Yeah, on one device. They gave me a ablation surgery procedure.
Does it do it, Dwayne, automatically, or do you have a button you can just push it?
No, it does it automatically.
I was gonna say I'd hate to be all of a sudden. Oh, that didn't go over too well.
Do you have any anyone have any experience with high blood pressure?
Oh, yes.
Yep. What patch helps with that? I know, right? Yeah,
Yep.
I'm with you.
Actually, we've had several people. In fact, um, when me and John were doing the Zooms on his program, or maybe it was on Sunday here, I forget now, but John, there's a lady that, and she may be on here tonight, because I think on hers is she does like the Zoom user here. She just comes in like that. She's 92 years old. And she said she didn't want to, she said it's a little premature. She said, I don't want to make the claim as of yet, but she said, I have noticed that my blood pressure is starting to go down. Um, and I was amazed at that, which I was already in the early stages of hypertension, which I guess 60, maybe that's normal. I mean, my blood pressure always ran about 150, 160 over about 85, 90
Hmm.
Yeah.
consistently. And like you say, Dwayne, about that rapid heart rate, I've always had a rapid heart rate. It was always 95 beats a minute. And between 92 to 95, that's my resting heart rate. And
Yeah.
so, but I never even thought about it. I mean, it's just like one day, Yana, she thought I had high blood pressure again, because it goes up and down, but it never goes lower than what I was having it at. And she thought it had spiked or something, so she checked it, and it was I think, what was it? I had a 77 heart rate, and I had 120 over 75 blood pressure. And she
Oh,
goes,
that's good.
yeah, she said, that's like a kid. Well, we didn't think nothing of it. We just thought it was a fluke. Um, and then again, a week or two later, same thing, and again, it was really low like that. And the heart rate, and I've never in the last 40 something years, I've never had a low heart rate. Um, and as far as a child, I don't know, maybe I had one even as a child, but uh, I've always had a rapid heart rate, and all that has normalized now. So, and I have heard of other people that happens with as well, but I don't know specifically other than that one lady that came on with John that day, and she had gotten her children to use good night, Sister Denise. Yeah, we're going to wrap up here in just a second anyway, too. So, but yeah, she had uh I think her son, she had him doing it, just got him to willing to do it, and he was doing it for Parkinson's, I believe it was.
Oh,
So, but yeah, it's really amazing. Really, really amazing. So
So she was on the X39 for the high blood pressure. Is that what she was helping her?
Yes, X39. And I don't, John, do you remember if she did said if she did anything else or no?
I don't recall that. No, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure either. So, but maybe we can ask her next time if she's on with us there, we could ask about that. So
Okay, thanks.
you're
thank you.
very
Thanks.
welcome. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great night. I did record this tonight, so I will load it up on our channel over there. And last week, I still haven't tried it because it's in my phone, and I'm going to see if I can figure out how to load that one up as well. But I'll probably do that tomorrow because I got to go see if the temperature went up in the house. Otherwise, my daughter's going to beat me. And my wife, well, no, my wife's with my son tonight, so I don't have to worry about her. She's nice and warm. She ain't gonna be out here freezing with me. She'll wait till I get it all cozy and then she'll come out. So, all right, guys, y'all have a
Okay.
blessed
Have a good
evening.
evening, everybody.
John, I'll
Good
see
night.
you Tuesday morning,
Tuesday
sir.
morning. See you then. Right.
I'm gonna get ready too for Tuesday because we'll talk about the Alavita.
Okay.
I'll study up on
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Steve. See you
that.
then.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great night.